Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian from Whisper Status 74, and this video is going to be a little bit of a rant about 8K. I typically try to keep the channel as positive as I can, so for those of you that are new to the channel, I apologize if this comes off as overly negative. I typically don't do these videos, maybe 1 out of 30. We were talking the other day about 8K, CES, and how a lot of the conversation at CES in terms of technology has been about HDMI 2.1 and 8K. I really don't mind the conversation about HDMI 2.1 in terms of, well, we'll stop there for a second and talk about HDMI 2.1 being the focal point in terms of bandwidth and in terms of frame rate and refresh rate, things of that nature, which is fine. My question would be in terms of 12-bit color. That's where I was waiting to see 12-bit panels with HDMI 2.1. That way HDMI 2.1 with 8K wouldn't be a stopgap. What I mean by that is if you have an HDMI 2.1 8K enabled display and you buy that next year, do you then get hit with an HDMI 2.1 8K 12-bit panel the year after? That's my dilemma with that. But I'll rant about 8K really quickly. If you go back to the video that I posted the other day and read those comments, you're going to see a lot of, actually just about every comment isn't excited about 8K. There are some that are excited about variable refresh rate, low latency gaming, things of that nature. Even talking about GPUs being able to do 4K at 120 or 100 FPS. Yes, can it? Of course. And the GTX 1080 Ti can do 4K at 100 FPS on lower demanding titles, but not on titles like Battlefield 5 or anything that's new. So keeping that real on new releases, which you would want to use your display for, that really doesn't click the way I think they're trying to sell it. So the rant is basically on trying to replace 4K as it's just starting to get traction. Meaning you're just starting to be able to find a good amount of content, not just by disc, which were so hard and so slow in coming out. To me, 4K never should have launched without 4K Blu-rays. And 1080p was the same way. It's always about the technology, then the content coming after. A lot like a game console releasing without any games. Why would you purchase a brand new console if it doesn't have a single title? And that's kind of how 4K was released in many ways. Other than 4K demos, which were shot with 4K cameras, the only 8K demos you're going to see are from 8K cameras or whatever camera they're using, which will be just like our 4K demos we watch on YouTube. You're never going to see those at home. Not to mention, a lot of the issues that I get or hear on YouTube in my comments is the problem with upscaling, with the way the image looks, upscaling a 720p image, a 1080p image, that the cable TVs aren't even doing 1080p. Why would I have 4K and why does it look bad? They thought upconversion was going to clean up the image. And here they are again selling you 8K is going to clean it up even further. I would argue that my 1080p plasma looks better than my 4K 900E on cable, without question. A 720p LED or LCD, I should say, would probably look better than a 4K TV with cable TV. So again, they're always going to be great with native content. There isn't going to be any 8K content, but you're pushing it instead of really refining 4K. Samsung just jumped in this year with their whole line, or at least their high-end line, being full array. Before that, their high-end displays were edge-lit, except for the KS9800, which was full array. You saw some big steps from Vizio in terms of their peak brightness. Is it because they've run out of places to go? They can't get any brighter? They still have images. They still have clipping. They still have dirty screen effect. They still have terrible flaws. The panel lottery is beyond real, guys. I went through 12 displays, all high-end. And for those of you that think it's not real, having the channel, I get comments every single day on faulty displays. A little shout out to Ashton, who's going through it right now, who just got money from the manufacturer, which took him forever. So, back to the topic. Why are you pushing 8K? I know why they're doing it. Obviously, they want to make money. They know they need a moniker. They need something that can be bold. 8K. HDR, Dolby Vision, those are you know, they were fine for a little while, but now I need something that people can easily relate to. I'd love to be in the marketing department of just this technology. What would you need 8K for when all the movies are basically 2K upscales? The special effects are finished in 2K. When I first started watching 4K Blu-rays, I was shocked at how bad they looked. Then you look at, they're actually 2K. A lot of them are filmed in 2K, and they're upscaled, going back to the upscale. So now you're telling me your 4K Blu-rays or your 8K Blu-rays are going to be 2K upscales. Then what you're going to get is all the buzzwords they're going to use to explain their new technology and what technology they're going to have to make that upscaling even better. And we know that the triple engine, blah, 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 every display has, going back to when they first came out. Dual engine, dual lens, all these different things to push it without refining the actual technology yet. You still have those same flaws. So they can't go brighter. They can't go darker. Why not? And more importantly, why not fix the displays that are out there? I mean, the channel was based around panel lottery and all the flaws and the amount of money and time wasted. And I mean wasted. Waiting for delivery guys, purchasing, dealing with the store, being on the phone with Amazon, being on the phone with Best Buy, being on the phone with the manufacturers. All to tell me that it's in my mind. These are real issues. And I will tell you, we'll do a hardship video on the panel lottery soon because it needs to be talked about. It'll make you feel insane. You spent this much money on a display, I don't care what size it is, and they're faulty. And tell me why we need 8K. The argument for 4K was to be closer to the display so you can have a larger display than ever. This camera is 4 feet from a 75-inch display. There's people on the channel that have 82-inch 900Fs. You don't need, unless you're going to have a 200-inch TV. Who in their house is going to have a 200-inch TV that's not going to be bulky or even make sense? That would be a projector. Who out there is really watching large displays anymore? In terms of the people coming up watching TV, what do they watch? They watch their iPads, they watch their phones. 8K is unnecessary. In terms of gaming, my games are crystal clear at 4K. The game design needs to be better. The frame rate needs to be better. If you've seen what's happened with NVIDIA, with their RTX and their Turing cards, they're focused on technology of the RTX, not frame rate. They're focused on things looking better, not necessarily faster in terms of performance. So I don't know where 8K is really coming from other than just to sell it to us. Unfortunately, we don't have a choice. They'll eventually push it out like they did 1080p. So go back and see that video and read the comments and see what people really think about it. I'm not excited about it. I'm just mad and frustrated they have not given this format a chance. You should have just went to 1440p as a stopgap. It would have been smoother. But to see how they haven't even refined their manufacturing, I'm talking about Samsung, LG, Vizio, every single one of them, Sony, they're all terrible. Figure out burn-in before you give me an 88-inch OLED 8K TV. Figure out bleeding, figure out clouding, figure out dead pixels, figure that stuff out before you go to the next one. Now I know I'm just ranting. I know this means nothing. They're just going to sell. They want to sell. They don't make any money off of giving you the same thing. But I had to do a little rant because I'm frustrated with 8K. I'm frustrated that they're gonna try and force this out. In the comments, you're going to tell me, oh, 4K is not going anywhere. If they want it to go somewhere, it will. But just be careful if you do jump. And that's my rant. And let me know in the comments what you think. If you're disappointed about 8K, I just don't see a point in it. Because they were saying you couldn't see 4K on a smaller display. Now you're telling me you want 8K. How big does the display have to be? Anyway, thank you as always, guys. Take care.